Us. Let's just talk first of all about this initial problem, back here, right near here and the now, in terms of where we are with our energy supply. We've spoken to a number of energy industry experts about this. We have a perfect storm of huge number of difficulties in the vast array of different energy sources that we have, creating this perfect storm of 70% increase in our energy prices, particularly in gas, and the prospect of that all being passed on to the consumer. What do you think is the chief problem?
Well, it's a perfect windless storm, if you can have such a thing, because, of course, one of the problems is the wind hasn't been blowing for the last couple of months. Well, I hate to say I told you so, but I banged on for years in Parliament about the need to make sure that energy was both reliable and affordable, as well as low carbon, instead of which we had a monomaniacal focus on decarbonisation at the expense of everything. We already had the highest industrial electricity prices in Europe in this country. That was because of the extra carbon tax we levy, the green levy, which goes to fund subsidies to wind farms, which amounts to about £10 billion a year, and an increasing reliance on imports. And then on top of that, we've got the fact that the gas price has gone through the roof. We didn't look for shale gas in this country. We banned it effectively, and that meant that we didn't have our own secure supply of relatively cheap gas onshore, which we would have done by now if we'd been allowed to get on with fracking. The gas price is 1/4 of what it is here in the UK.
And of course, it's a much cleaner form of gas. I mean, in terms of old dirty energy, it's about the cleanest you can get.
Well, that's right. The methane, which is what natural gas is, has much less carbon in it than coal or oil or wood. We're burning American trees in Yorkshire in a power station with a subsidy. What's the point of that? It's a bonkers policy, but no, we're not allowed gas. And remember, the campaign against fracking, against shale gas, was underpinned by Russian money. We know this. This is not a sort of wild accusation. This has been proved by the American intelligence services and NATO and others that there was a lot of Russian funding for campaigns in the West to ban shale gas. Friends of the Earth were their useful idiots in this country. And that was because they wanted to be able to control the tap of gas to Western Europe. They're now doing so with Nord Stream 1 and 2, and they're rationing the gas so as to pump up the price. And just remind us, you keep being rude about fossil fuels. Well, you need them too. That's what they're saying to us.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? We've not been building nuclear power stations. We've got all these gas-powered stations which are basically coming to the end of their life in the next few years. We've been relying more on wind power and solar power, which we always knew. You've been banging on about it. It's not reliable. That's why you need to have those other four sources coming in. We've got that Channel electricity cable from France. There's been a fire, so we've lost out on that. All of this coming together, and this, by the way, in autumn, I'm the first person in the country to put their heating on. I haven't put my central heating on. In a couple of months' time, when I do, let's face it, a couple of days looking at the weather right now, then we're going to start seeing a lot of problems, aren't we, around the country? Now, we're told that we've still got this domestic energy price cap, so don't worry about that domestically. But that means, of course, that the energy suppliers, the companies, they're going to be going under. We've seen 4 already, 29 already on the brink. They're asking for a bailout and loans from the government because they can't afford to buy the energy and sell it under that price cap. No price cap for business, though. So the prices are going to go up sky high for business. What are they going to do with that? They're going to pass it on to us, the consumer, in price rises.
Well, that's right, because this is what happens when you try to centrally plan the market, which is what we've been doing. And, in 2015, we were all very critical of Ed Miliband's bonkers idea that you try and cap the price, you try and buck the market. Well, then the Tories adopted the Miliband policy, and it's coming back to bite them. As you say, this means that industrial energy prices, which, as I say, are already the highest in Europe, are going to go up even more. And that's not just going to mean higher prices passed on to consumers, which you're absolutely right is going to happen, but it's going to mean the closure of industries. We're already seeing fertilizer plants shut down in this country just in the last week or so, and a lot of energy supply companies going out of business because they can't uncap the prices that they're charging. So I'm afraid it's a mess made by central planning within the government, and it's got to be sorted out.
Well, meanwhile, of course, the Prime Minister is going to be off to try and sort of get as many countries as possible people to sign up to his climate change agenda and get this big win that he thinks he's going to have that's going to change the world at COP26, a summit which most people are completely unaware about in this country, and they'll only realise the true costs of it in the years to come when they face those energy price hikes and are told they have to give up their diesel cars and replace their perfectly workable gas boiler with a water pump that doesn't actually heat their home anymore at 5 times the price. I mean, we are talking about, a lot of stuff coming down the line. But so much focus is on hitting these climate targets, giving into the likes of Extinction Rebellion again and again, taking on a green agenda, which, as far as I'm aware, barely anybody, I don't know anyone myself on the Conservative side who voted for the Conservatives to do this. It was just in the manifesto as a sidebar. But at the same time, not dealing with the fundamental issue that we don't have a secure energy supply in this country.
Well, it's not just in this country. The rest of the world, there's 1 billion people without access to electricity. That makes their lives immeasurably poorer. And frankly, a lot of our policies have made that worse. We've prevented them getting access to gas, coal, and the other reliable sources of electricity because we say, no, you guys are going to have to wait till we've got wind and solar sorted so that you can use that instead. And I think that's frankly immoral. And meanwhile, China's building hundreds of new coal-fired power stations, is not even pretending that it's going to peak its carbon emission output until 2030, let alone go for net zero by 2050 like us. So what we do in this country has absolutely no impact on what the world happens. Yeah. And I would just like to see Extinction Rebellion and Insulate Britain.
No, I think you got it right first time.
Go and talk to the Chinese a bit for once.